Three, two, one. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the latest Budget and Facilities Board of Education Committee meeting. I am your chair and host for today, Dave Kerpen. With me is the Board of Education of Port Washington, Rachel Gilliar, Emily Bays, Deborah Brooks, Larry Greenstein. I can't see you all here, but I'm assuming they're all here. Beth Weisberg, our vice president, and Nora Johnson, our president, I'm sure will be joining us momentarily. We have the administrators of the school district here, Dr. Michael Hines, our superintendent, Mary Callahan, Chris Shields, our assistant superintendents, respectively, and some wonderful support staff, Ruth and Jessica. And I apologize if I've left anyone out. I don't think I have. Elaine Fennick. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and thank you for tuning in at home. As you all know, at the risk of being super cliche, we are in the midst of an unprecedented crisis and unprecedented set of challenges made by that crisis, and we are doing our darn best as board members and Budget and Facilities Committee members and administrators to put together the most responsible budget we possibly can while maintaining the education of our students. It is a Herculean challenge, and I am really, really grateful to everyone on the board and everyone in the committee, everyone, all the administrators on this meeting, for their hard work and for their hard work to come. We are really working essentially around the clock. And as a 3-year board member whose term is ending quite soon, I can tell you that this group is just an unbelievable group of people. We are volunteers. It is really, really, really hard work. And so I appreciate all the feedback from the community. I really do. And my hope and expectation is that the community will think twice before they are critical, given just how incredibly hard all of these volunteers are working. I, for one, after leaving the board in several weeks, will never, ever again have anything but the utmost respect and admiration for board members who serve our community. So that's my soapbox for the day. And now I turn, of course, to Ms. Callahan, who will be updating us on any changes, if at all, from what you presented. We've also had a couple of requests from board members to present potential other scenarios, and I'm not sure the extent to which you've been able to do that in the extremely short time that you've had, but to the extent that you can present any of those new options or answers to some of the board member questions, Mary, that would be wonderful. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Kerpen. First and foremost, I think that it would be somewhat reassuring to the community if they understand that once a budget is adopted, the dollar amount is set in stone. How that money is spent within the budget that has been approved can be adjusted by the board through budget transfers at any time. So while I have heard concerns about why do we need X number of staff in one category or another because we may not be in school, or will we have sports, will we need transportation, we have to plan as if we are going to have a regular school year. But obviously, if that does not happen, and there are needs for greater counseling services, needs for multiple bus runs, and those particular codes are not budgeted appropriately, we have a board policy that says the board transfers money from one code to another. Anything over $10,000 does have to go to the board for prior approval. So if we were going to spend a lot more money in technology next year and not spend as much in transportation, we would come to the board to ask for authorization. So I want the community to understand that as time goes forward and as situations change, we are adaptable, but it's based on board policy. And then relative to last night's discussion, we talked about a levy increase of 1.99. The board did ask today for some additional information for the costs of particular programs that might offset the potential for the loss of the ESTEAM program in its present state. And I did try to provide that, which I'm happy to reiterate for the sake of the folks watching the program now. We estimated the cost for the three ESTEAM teachers to be $234,000. I was also asked for the cost of the football program. We do have multiple programs in the fall, but the football program at the high school alone is $78,000. And then there is a football program at the middle school, which is another $30,000. The total of all fall sports is about $380,000. The staff members who are selected to take care of any co-curricular clubs, any sports activities, they are paid on the basis of what we refer to as units. The units have a particular value that are associated with the teacher contract for BA Step 1. That's the very lowest salary that we pay a teacher in the district. The teacher contract also calls for a minimum of 239.5 units in any given year. And based on this current rate, that cost is $660,000. We do, however, have more than the 239.5 units. We have 385, which is an additional $403,000 we have spent for student activities ranging from homework clubs at the elementary school to swimming, tennis, volleyball, all sorts of activities at the high school and the middle school. And then when asked about what other programs could we look at rather than the three ESTEAM teachers noted in the prior discussion last night, we did go back as a central office group and look at one retirement that we have received thus far for a music teacher. And in speaking with Mr. Scully, the director, he has agreed, while it will take a myriad of changes, if we attrition that position, we could save the equal value of one of the PEP teachers, PEP ESTEAM. And then we also looked at the potential sections for next year, as we have been following that all along during the budget process. And as of now, we do anticipate one fewer section being needed at the Sousa Elementary School. We had hoped that that would be counterbalanced because we're expecting an increase at the Daly School. But if absolutely necessary, the classes at Daly will be somewhat larger in this one particular grade, and we will excess one elementary teacher. That would give us two positions cut from next year's budget. In addition to that, the Board of Education last year added to the budget $50,000 to be on an ongoing basis for whenever a school has construction and needs to have its playground replaced. Since the construction is moving slower than proposed, we could more than likely hold off until the subsequent year's budget to provide funding to the new daily kindergarten playground, because we have not even broken ground or gone to bid on the pre-K classrooms that are supposed to be constructed over there. That would give us another $50,000. And then the remaining $28,000 that we would need to make up the salary of a third teacher position would come from transfers from the general fund into both Title I or the title grants. I don't know if it would be Title I, the title grants and the special education federal grants for a particular individual's salary, which then I think gives you the value of $234,000, equal to the value of the 3 esteemed teachers from last night.
Thank you, Mary. I want to get to the bigger question that some board members have posed around the desire for the 2%, the under 2% versus potentially something bigger. But before I do that, while Mary has while we're on the topic, if anyone has questions for Mary on anything that she just covered, please do post in the chat. It sounds like Deb, you have a question.
Yes, sorry, I'm speaking to you from my new office because my daughter is going to start her AP exam in 15 minutes and I needed to give her quiet, so I apologize. I was wondering if Mary is at liberty to tell us which school is affected by the music teacher retirement, and if under normal circumstances we would be hiring this year to replace that teacher, and if not, then because I know you mentioned Mr. Scully's response, is it something that we would seek to do next year or the year after or the year after? Because obviously we were always going to face the statutory 2% limit. So I was just wondering how that would affect whatever school is involved in the coming years.
I am going to defer to Dr. Shields, sorry. I do believe this is the Weber Middle School, but Mr. Scully did provide in greater detail what alterations would need to take place. And I would say that this was not initially on our radar because with the growing number of students who participate in our arts program, we would not ordinarily have considered this as an attrition. But Dr. Shields, could you add to this?
Of course. Yeah, so I spoke with Mr. Scully, and the impact of reducing the one music teacher at the middle school would be larger lesson groups in the areas of band, chorus, and orchestra. And in 6th grade, we would not be having sectionals or lesson groups for chorus. This is something that was added in recent years to be able to give them an experience similar to how people that play an instrument have an instrumental lesson. So we were giving voice lessons, but that would most likely need to be taken out of the 6th grade for next year. And answering your question to the future, we would have to see how things play out. This is a position that we see of value, but for the 1 year, we would look to reduce it and deal with the impacts related.
Thank you, Chris. We will have Emily and then Nora and then Larry, but first, a very special treat in this time of great uncertainty and technical challenges. We are going to take a super quick break, and then we're going to come back at you with a new chat-enabled live stream. It's been very important to me as the chair that we hear the community, and so we cannot change the chat enablement mid-meeting. And unfortunately, we were not able to set up the chat enablement prior to the meeting starting. So what we're going to do is go offline for just a moment. Please to stay with us. Refresh your screen if you're watching at home in about 60 seconds or so, and we will restart the meeting then. Thank you guys so much.
Excuse me 1 second, Dave. I hate to interrupt after you just said that. I've been going back and forth with Ryan. He was going to tell me how long it's going to take to set it up. So unless you heard something different.
It'll be momentary.
Okay, as long as. Okay.
So you want board members to sign off as well?
Nope, you guys can all stay here. We're going to stop streaming live for just a moment and then start a new live stream.